Konnichiwa, minasan. O genki desu ka? Welcome to the intermediate course of my channel. Let's learn Japanese with Eric. If you have minimal background in the Japanese language or have limited knowledge of Japanese particles, adjective, and basic verb conjugation, or how Japanese sentences are put together, please review the playlist of the basic course, which covers lessons 1 to 31, and watch the video you need makeup lessons on. Otherwise, let's begin. Hajimemashou. In this new lesson, we will learn how to ask and give permission. To ask permission, the formula is to use the te form of the verb plus mo ii desu ka, temo ii desu ka, and to give permission, you simply remove the question particle ka at the end and say temo ii desu. Temo means even if you do, and ii desu means it is good. Literally, it means even if you do, it's good, meaning you may do, and that's permission. Now, temo ii desu in plain form becomes temo ii with rising intonation when asking for permission, and temo ii with lowered intonation when giving permission. There are also variations of temo ii desu, and one of them is temo yoroshii desu. Yoroshii is simply the honorific or more polite version of ii. The plain form of this is simply removing the desu and just saying temo yoroshii. You will also hear temo daijoubu desu. Plain form, temo daijoubu without the desu. It means it's okay. You will also hear temo kamaimasen or temo kamawanai in plain style, which means I don't mind. And when giving permission, you may also do away with conjugating the te form of the verb entirely and simply say, hai, douzo, which means yes, go ahead. If you recall the 10 basic verb conjugations, the conjugation that we use for permission is the te form of the verb. Let's do a quick review of how to make the te form. There are 3 major categories of Japanese verbs: the Category 1 or root-dropping verbs, the Category 2 or last hiragana changing verbs, and Category 3 verbs or the irregular verbs. For a more detailed explanation of all the basic verb conjugations, please review lessons 26 to 30 of our English playlist. We will also be using verbs introduced in these lessons in our examples here. To make the te form of a root-dropping verb, drop the ru and add te. For example, the verb taberu, which means to eat. Drop the ru, add te to form tabete, which is the te form. For last hiragana changing verbs, the last hiragana of the dictionary form is not dropped, but changes to something else. These are the 9 kinds of endings: kugusu, bumunu, rutsu-u. To make the te form, ku becomes ite, gu becomes ide, su becomes shite, bu, mu, nu all turn to nde, and rutsu-u all become utte. For conjugating Category 2 verbs, it's the verb ending you need to pay attention to and what it turns into. As for the 5 commonly used irregular verbs, here are their te forms. Su becomes shite, kuru becomes kite, iku becomes itte, aru becomes atte, and the te form for da is de. The de is used when asking permission for nouns and na-adjectives. We'll have examples of these later. May I eat sushi? To eat is taberu, Category 1 root-dropping. In Japanese, sushi wo tabetemo ii desu ka? Sushi wo tabetemo ii desu ka? Sushi takes the direct object particle wo, and the sentence ends with a question particle ka. If you need to review Japanese sentence construction and how to use Japanese particles, please watch lessons 22 to 24. To give permission, you simply say hai to mean yes and repeat the sentence, but this time removing the ka, so it is no longer a question, but a statement of permission. Hai, sushi wo tabetemo ii desu. Hai, sushi wo tabetemo ii desu. Hai is optional, and you can simply say sushi wo tabetemo ii desu. May I watch TV? To watch is miru, also category 1. To ask in plain style, テレビを見てもいい? テレビを見てもいい? We say it with a rising intonation. To give permission, we say the same thing but with lowered intonation. はい、テレビを見てもいい. はい、テレビを見てもいい. Now let's use some category 2 verbs in the formal style. May I listen to music? To listen is kiku, and music is ongaku. In Japanese, 音楽を聴いてもいいですか? 音楽を聴いてもいいですか? To give permission, はい、音楽を聴いてもいいです。はい、音楽を聴いてもいいです。May I speak? To speak is 話す. In Japanese, 話してもいいですか? 話してもいいですか? To give permission, はい、話してもいいです。はい、話してもいいです。May I drink water? To drink is 飲む, and water is 水。水を飲んでもいいですか? 水を飲んでもいいですか? To give permission, はい、水を飲んでもいいです。はい、水を飲んでもいいです。May I go home now? To go home is 帰る, and now is 今. In Japanese, 今帰ってもいいですか? 今帰ってもいいですか? To give permission, はい、今帰ってもいいです。はい、今帰ってもいいです。May I use the phone? To use is 使う, and phone is 電話。電話を使ってもいいですか? 電話を使ってもいいですか? And to give permission, はい、電話を使ってもいいです。はい、電話を使ってもいいです。Or simply say, はい、使ってもいいです。Now for some category 3 verbs, may I come to the party? To come is 来る。パーティーに来てもいいですか? パーティーに来てもいいですか? And to give permission, はい、来てもいいです。はい、来てもいいです。Mentioning party is optional. May I go to Tokyo? To go is 行く。東京に行ってもいいですか? 東京に行ってもいいですか? And to give permission, yes, you may go. はい、行ってもいいです。はい、行ってもいいです。Again, 東京に is optional. May I do the laundry tonight? To do laundry is 洗濯する, and tonight is 今夜. In Japanese, 今夜洗濯してもいいですか? 今夜洗濯してもいいですか? And to give permission, はい、してもいいです。はい、してもいいです。We are perfectly okay simply conjugating the verb する and leaving off the noun part 洗濯. Now here's an example of using the te form of the verb だ. How about some tea? お茶でもいいですか? お茶でもいいですか? Literally, it's asking if tea is good. To agree and give permission, はい、お茶でもいいです。はい、お茶でもいいです。Now here's an example of using a na adjective. Na adjectives are grammatically nouns, so they use the verb だ. Is something simple good? 簡単でもいいですか? 簡単でもいいですか? And to agree and give permission, はい、簡単でもいいです。はい、簡単でもいいです。And here's an example of using an e adjective. We have to use the te form of the e adjective. Is it okay even if it's expensive? Expensive is 高い, and its te form is 高くて. In Japanese, 高くてもいいですか? 高くてもいいですか? And to agree and give permission, はい、高くてもいいです。はい、高くてもいいです。Let's practice what we learned by translating these sentences into Japanese. May I open the window? 窓を開けてもいいですか? 窓を開けてもいいですか? After you read the book, may I borrow it? あなたが本を読んでから借りてもいいですか? あなたが本を読んでから借りてもいいですか? May I work after school? 学校の後で働いてもいいですか? 学校の後で働いてもいいですか? Now translate these Japanese sentences into English. 昼ご飯の前に泳いでもいいです。昼ご飯の前に泳いでもいいです。You may swim before lunch. 黒板を消してもいいですか? 黒板を消してもいいですか? May I erase the blackboard? 好きな車を選んでもいいです。好きな車を選んでもいいです。You may choose the car that you like. ここの本と雑誌を読んでもいいです。ここの本と雑誌を読んでもいいです。You may read the books and magazines here. 時間がまだあるからもう一曲を歌ってもいいですよ。時間がまだあるからもう一曲を歌ってもいいですよ。Because there's still time, you may sing one more song. 自分のランチを作ってもいいです。自分のランチを作ってもいいです。You may make your own lunch. Now translate the following sentences into Japanese. May I wait here? Please use yoroshii instead of e. ここで待ってもよろしいですか? ここで待ってもよろしいですか? May I go to the washroom? Please use daijoubu. トイレに行っても大丈夫ですか? トイレに行っても大丈夫ですか? May I practice Japanese with you? Please use kamaimasen. 君と日本語を練習しても構いませんか? 君と日本語を練習しても構いませんか? To summarize, in this lesson, we learned how to ask permission by using the formula てもいいですか? てもいいですか? We use the te form of the verb plus もいいですか? It literally means, is it okay even if I do? And to give permission, you typically say はい meaning yes, followed by てもいいです, which again is the te form of the verb plus もいいです. And the e part has several variations. You may hear てもよろしいです, which is the honorific version of いいです. There's also ても大丈夫です, which means it's okay. You will also hear ても構いません, which means I don't mind. And to give permission, you can simply do away with verb conjugation and say はいどうぞ or yes, please go ahead. The てもいい conjugation can also be used to ask and give permission when using nouns and na adjectives, in which case it becomes でもいいです, and with e adjectives, in which case it becomes くてもいいです. And this ends our lesson on asking for and giving permissions. Our next lesson will be the opposite of this, making prohibitions or saying you may not, you must not, or you're not allowed to. See you then. お疲れ様でした. If you're serious about becoming fluent in Japanese, it's important to practice daily, learn grammar, and build up vocabulary. My whole course is designed to give you a strong basic foundation in the Japanese language that you can build solidly on. So please click like, share, or subscribe, and watch the next video in the series. 日本語の勉強に頑張ってください。じゃあまたね。